Imagine a place, a region, really deeply fractured by conflict. We're talking over 2 years now.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Tens of thousands displaced, livelihoods just shattered, and emotions, well, they're running incredibly high.
Understandably so.
Now, picture the first visit of the nation's leader to this troubled land after, a really prolonged silence.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't just a headline, right? It's more like a critical window into this really complex mix of history, politics, and just profound human impact.
Absolutely. And that's what we're diving into today. We're looking at the recent visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Manipur.
Yeah.
This was back in September 2025.
His first trip there since the ethnic violence erupted way back in May 2023.
Exactly. And it definitely sparked a whole range of reactions, as you might expect.
So our mission today is to kind of pull back the layers on this. We're going to unpack the immediate context of this visit, try to understand the deep roots of this ongoing conflict between the Meitei and the Kuki-Zo communities.
Which is crucial context.
It really is. And confront its devastating human and socio-economic toll, and I guess explore the incredibly challenging pathways to peace.
And we've got quite a bit to draw on. We're looking at reports from the Indian Express, Al Jazeera, some detailed academic analyses, and actually a really compelling ground report from NewsX.
All to help you, the listener, really grasp what is truly at stake in Manipur.
So let's dive in. Prime Minister Modi made this, well, much-anticipated visit to Manipur on September 13th, 2025. Like you said, after more than 2 years of intense unrest.
A hugely significant moment, no doubt.
Definitely.
And the itinerary itself, it was quite telling, wasn't it? He was scheduled to interact with internally displaced people, those forced from their homes.
Yeah.
In both Champur, which is predominantly Kuki, and then in Imphal, the Meitei majority capital.
Right. Hitting both sides.
Exactly. And across 2 speeches delivered, interestingly, 60 kilometers apart.
A deliberate choice, I imagine.
Seems like it. His central theme was consistently looking forward. He said the future belongs to Manipur and the Northeast, and we can't let the past bury it.
Okay.
He really emphasized the need for peace, progress, and strengthening what he called the bridge of harmony between the hills and the valley.
The classic hill-valley dynamic in Manipur.
Mm-hmm. He also mentioned his government is undertaking talks with different groups, making every effort to bring back normalcy and appealing to all organizations to move on the path of peace.
Any concrete steps announced?
Yes, actually. As a tangible step, he announced government support for building 7,000 new homes for displaced families. And he also spoke about nurturing the state's sporting talent, which is, a recurring theme.
So what's fascinating there is that really deliberate effort to deliver messages to both communities, right, in their respective strongholds. It clearly acknowledges the deep divisions, but it raises that important question. After such a long period of silence from the very top, can a single message, no matter how carefully crafted it is, truly resonate across such a fractured landscape?
That really is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And as the reactions on the ground immediately showed, the answer was, well, anything but simple.
Let's get into that. How did it land?
Okay, let's look at how this visit landed with the people and the political landscape, because the echoes from the ground were definitely not uniform. The opposition, particularly the Congress Party, was sharply critical.
Not surprising, perhaps.
Their president, Mallikarjun Kharge, really didn't pull any punches. He called it a farce, tokenism, and a grave insult to a wounded people. Strong words.
Wow. Okay.
He contrasted the 864 days of violence with 300 lives being lost, 67,000 people displaced, and 1,500 people being injured, with what he pointed out were PM Modi's 46 foreign trips since the violence began.
Drawing a sharp contrast there.
Very sharp. He also accused the double-engine government, the BJP being in power both centrally and in the state at the time of bulldozing the innocent lives of Manipur, and alleged gross incompetence and complicity.
So basically blaming the government's handling, or lack thereof.
Pretty much. And senior Congress leader K.C. Venugopal echoed that. He described it as a display of how sorely lacking in empathy and compassion a leader can be, saying the visit was treated like any other PR event.
So very critical from the opposition's perspective. But what about the communities directly involved? The Kuki-Zo groups, for instance.
Right. Well, for the Kuki-Zo groups in Chirtandpur, the visit was seen perhaps as a vital step, even if long overdue, towards their core demand. a separate union territory with its own legislature.
That's been their position for a while now.
It has, and we saw a powerful statement in a memorandum from 10 Kuki-Zo MLA's members of the Legislative Assembly, and notably 7 of them were actually from the ruling BJP.
Oh, interesting. Even within the ruling party.
Yes. They explicitly stated, and this is a direct quote, "We can now live in peace only as good neighbors, never under the same roof again."
Wow, that really underlines the depth of the fracture.
Doesn't it? Citing unprecedented ethnic persecution and alleging state complicity as the reasons behind this demand.
Okay, so that's the Kuki-Zo perspective.
Yeah.
What about in Imphal, the Meitei side?
In Imphal, the sentiment was notably different. Okram Ibobi Singh, who's the Congress legislature party leader and a former chief minister,
Right.
he felt that the people of Manipur who had expectations may be disappointed. He expressed a desire for a clearer roadmap for resettlement rather than just, announcements about projects.
More concrete plans needed, essentially.
Yeah. And a local resident, Jayanta Sanasam, was quoted hoping for more clarity on steps towards free movement and the eventual removal of buffer zones. These zones physically separate the communities.
Understandable concerns about daily life and mobility.
But beyond these official statements and political reactions, the truly heartbreaking reality really came through from the ground. There was this NewsX report from relief camps.
Yes, the displaced population. What did they find?
This is where the human impact becomes just so starkly clear. Reports from places like the Mangalvi College camp in Bishnupur and the Akamp Pat camp in Imphal, they painted a picture of just profound suffering. Over 400 people in just those camps, displaced for more than 2 years now, living in really harsh conditions.
2 years in a relief camp.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine.
It is. And their primary demand isn't for complex political solutions or grand projects. It's simple, it's primal, rehabilitation, and just going back to their homes.
Just wanting to go home.
Exactly. Many spoke of mental harassment, with some even admitting to contemplating suicide because their lives were ruined, savings gone, no privacy, no income, and the devastating disruption to their children's education.
The psychological toll must be immense.
Unimaginable. And yet, despite this profound suffering, there was this glimmer of hope. These displaced individuals expressed being very optimistic that the Prime Minister's visit would definitely solve their issues. They were appealing for immediate resettlement and, comprehensive packages for education, medical needs, and livelihoods.
Holding on to hope despite everything.
But what's really striking is the paradox they articulated. While they acknowledged some improvements in the security situation over the past 6 months, they still couldn't, for all practical purposes, return home.
Right. So an improved situation on paper doesn't necessarily translate to feeling safe enough to go back.
Exactly. It really makes you think about that vast chasm between, political rhetoric and the harsh realities of lived experience for those caught right in the middle of it all.
It really does. And to truly understand the depth of these reactions, the hope, the despair, the political maneuvering,
Yeah.
we absolutely need to rewind.
Go back to the beginning.
Yeah. What critical events, what underlying tensions had been simmering just beneath the surface, waiting for that spark? What ignited this tragic conflict that's now stretched over 2 years?
Okay, let's do that. So the violence itself kicked off on May 3rd, 2023. And incredibly, it's still ongoing in various forms.
Still ongoing.
And it's concentrated in Manipur, a state in northeast India bordering Myanmar. And it primarily involves the Meitei people and the Kuki-Zo tribal community.
And understanding the geography and demographics is crucial here, isn't it?
Absolutely key. Manipur has this distinct divide. You've got the Imphal Valley, which is only about 10% of the state's land.
Tiny part, land-wise.
But densely populated, mainly by the Meitei community. They make up roughly, say, 57 to 59% of the state's population, and they're predominantly Hindu.
Okay.
Then you have the surrounding hills, that's the other 90% of the land, much more sparsely populated, home to about 43% of the population.
And that's where the tribal communities live.
Exactly, consisting of various tribal groups, primarily the Kuki-Zo and Naga communities, who are largely Christian.
And this division isn't just geographic, it's political too.
Deeply political. Meiteis have historically dominated the state legislative assembly, holding 40 out of the 60 seats.
Right, so numerical majority in the valley translates to political dominance overall.
Pretty much. Now, the immediate trigger for the violence, the spark, was a Manipur High Court order on April 14th, 2023.
What did the order say?
Well, it seemingly recommended scheduled tribe, or ST status, for the Meitei community.
Ah, the ST status issue. That's central.
Absolutely. And it's worth noting that India's Supreme Court later sharply criticized this High Court decision as being factually wrong.
Okay, so a contentious order later questioned by the highest court.
Precisely. So the fuse was lit on May 3rd, 2023. The All-Tribal Student Union Manipur, ATSU,
The student union.
yes, they organized a tribal solidarity march across various hill districts. This was a massive protest against the Meitei demand for ST status.
Okay, protesting the potential change.
Tens of thousands turned out. And this march immediately led to what the sources call counter-responses by Meitei groups. Things escalated incredibly quickly. Clashes, house burnings, widespread violence, particularly intense, near the border between Churachampur, a Kuki area, and Bishnupur, a Meitei area.
That border region seems to be a real flashpoint.
It does.
So this raises that crucial question again. Why was ST status such an explosive issue? Why did it become the flashpoint?
Good question.
To put this in a broader context, this debate isn't just about an administrative category, right? It's really a proxy for much deeper anxieties about identity, about land rights, about political power.
It sounds like it touches on everything.
It really does. The demand for ST status by the Meitei community, which has been pushed by the Scheduled Tribes Demand Committee of Manipur, the STDCM, since around 2012,
Oh,
it has deep historical roots.
how far back?
Well, Meiteis were actually recognized as a tribe under British rule, but they lost this status back in 1951 after independence.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
And that change subsequently restricted their ability to buy land in the protected hill areas, while, importantly, tribal communities faced no such restrictions buying land in the valley.
Ah, so a perceived imbalance there.
Exactly. So the Meitei argument is that regaining ST status is essential to protect their ancestral land, traditions, culture, and language, especially given concerns about demographic shifts. They point to a decline from 59% of the population in 1951 down to about 44% in 2011.
Okay, so they see it as protective measure for their community.
That's their argument. But of course, the Kuki-Zo communities see this completely differently.
Understandably, how do they view it?
They view granting ST status to the Meiteis, who are already dominant numerically and politically, as, well, an existential threat.
Strong words again.
Their fear is that it would basically allow Meiteis to acquire tribal land, which is currently protected under the Manipur Land Revenue and Land Reforms Act of 1960.
The land protection is key.
It is, and they also fear it would further dilute the benefits and job opportunities that are reserved specifically for the existing STs, further marginalizing them.
So, two very different, deeply held perspectives on the same issue.
Absolutely. And beyond this core ST status dispute, the conflict was further fueled by a series of policies under the then Chief Minister, N. Biren Singh, who is Meitei and from the BJP.
What kind of policies?
Well, he was accused by critics and some sources of vilifying Kukis, using terms like poppy cultivation, forced encroachment, drug smuggling, and crucially, illegal immigrants.
That kind of language is bound to inflame tensions.
Highly inflammatory. Plus, there were eviction drives targeting tribal forest dwellers in February 2023, and the state government withdrew from existing suspension of operation agreements, ceasefire agreements, basically with some Kuki militant groups in March 2023.
So, actions perceived as directly targeting the Kuki community.
That's how they were largely perceived in the hills, yes. And adding another layer of complexity was the influx of Chin refugees from neighboring Myanmar.
Refugees fleeing conflict there.
Exactly. And they are ethnically related to the Kukis in Manipur. This became a major point of contention, with some Meitei groups starting to brand all Kukis as illegal immigrants, conflating refugees with the long-standing Kuki population.
A dangerous generalization.
Very. Even the Union Home Minister, Amit Shah, cited this refugee influx as one of the triggers for the violence starting.
Wow. So a real tinderbox of issues, historical grievances, land rights, political power, controversial policies, inflammatory rhetoric, and refugee flows.
Precisely. A complex and volatile mix.
And the result, well, the human and socioeconomic toll has been just devastating. The numbers paint a grim picture, but the stories behind them, they're truly heartbreaking.
Let's look at those impacts. What do the figures tell us?
Official figures, as of November 2024, reported 258 deaths and over 1,100 injured.
Significant casualty.
And the displacement. Over 60,000 people forced from their homes. Within the last year alone, 67,000 displaced from Manipur.
57,000, that's huge.
To put that in perspective, it's roughly 1 in every 40 residents of the state becoming internally displaced. It's one of the largest internal migration events in South Asia in recent times.
That's staggering. Yes, staggering.
Beyond the immediate human cost, you have 4,786 houses reported burnt, 386 religious structures, churches, and temples vandalized or destroyed.
Destroying homes, destroying places of worship, striking at the heart of communities.
It really is, and the humanitarian crisis for those displaced is profound. They're housed in this network of somewhere between 280 and 349 relief camps.
That many camps needed.
And they're grappling with severe overcrowding, inadequate sanitation, limited access to essentials like clean water, food, healthcare. Children are missing crucial years of schooling. Families endure a complete lack of privacy.
Just basic human dignity eroded.
Completely. And what's even more disturbing are the widespread reports of severe human rights violations.
We heard about some truly horrific incidents.
Yes. There was that shocking viral video back in July 2023 showing two Kuki women stripped, paraded naked, sexually assaulted by a mob. Their father and teenage brother were killed trying to protect them.
Unspeakable brutality.
And disturbingly, reports suggest the police took over 2 months to even act after the complaint was filed.
A failure of the justice system there, too.
Seems like it.
Well,
early on, the state government issued shoot-at-sight orders, which drew strong criticism from Amnesty International. There were extended internet shutdowns lasting over 2 months.
which hampers communication, reporting, everything.
Exactly. Violates fundamental rights. India's Supreme Court itself described the police investigations into the violence as tardy and noted an absolute breakdown of constitutional machinery.
Strong words from the Supreme Court.
Very strong. And UN experts expressed alarm over sexual violence, extrajudicial killings, home destruction, forced displacement, torture, and ill treatment.
Yeah.
It's almost unimaginable, isn't it,
Yeah.
to read those words and then think about the human faces behind them enduring that kind of systematic horror.
It really underscores how profoundly deep the wounds of this conflict run. It's not just physical displacement. It's deep, deep trauma.
Absolutely. And the psychological trauma resulting from all this is, well, it's immense. Studies are indicating alarmingly high rates of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder.
We mentioned the people in the camps feeling mental harassment.
Yes. Figures suggest PTSD affects something like 60% of trauma-exposed females and 21% of males, plus widespread anxiety and depression.
Those are incredibly high rates.
They are. In fact, the overall prevalence of mental illness in Manipur, estimated at 19.9%, is almost double the Indian national average of 10.6%.
The conflict is literally making people sick, mentally and emotionally.
And those displaced individuals we heard about in the relief camps, they explicitly reported severe mental harassment, even suicidal thoughts, because of their profound losses and just the dire living conditions.
It's a complete unraveling of life as they knew it. And the economy must have taken a massive hit, too.
Oh, catastrophic. The conflict has, and this is a quote from one source, completely ruined Manipur's economy.
Completely ruined. Well, that's stark.
Retail inflation soared to 11.63%. GST collections, that's the goods and services tax, declined by 24%.
What these numbers really tell us, it's not just about economic loss in the abstract. It's a stark illustration of how protracted conflict doesn't just disrupt, it fundamentally dismantles the very fabric of society.
That's a good way to put it. Basic survival takes over long-term prosperity.
Exactly.
Many farmers, for example, simply abandon their fields. Fishing households near Pumlan Lake saw their average daily income just plummet from around 496 rupees down to just 253 rupees.
More than halved.
Yeah. The state's renowned hand-woven textile exports, which support a huge number of weavers, over 462,000 people,
A major traditional industry.
fell by a staggering 80%. 80%.
Devastating for those livelihoods.
And tourism, another vital industry. Visitor numbers just collapsed from over 161,000 in 2022-23 to under 37,000 the following year.
So agriculture, traditional crafts, tourism, all hit hard. It affects everyone.
Everyone. And the future of the next generation is also deeply impacted. Over 14,500 displaced students from 5 districts, their education severely disrupted.
Schools used as camps or destroyed.
Exactly. Many schools repurposed as relief camps or tragically burned down. Attendance, even when schools tried to reopen, was as low as 40% in some areas.
That's a generation potentially losing out.
There are efforts underway, free admissions, counseling, supplies. Other states are even offering places for affected students. But the ripple effects of this educational disruption will be felt for years to come.
Absolutely. And healthcare. Access must be a huge issue.
Huge challenges. Healthcare facilities were attacked, looted. This led to staff shortages, restricted access to medical care, particularly, reports say, for Kuki-Zo civilians needing to get to the main hospitals in Imphal.
Physical barriers preventing access to care.
Yes, and interestingly, despite Manipur having a relatively high per capita public health expenditure on paper, it struggles with minimal actual health insurance coverage, just 3.6% of the population covered.
So vulnerable people are left even more exposed during a crisis.
Seems that way.
Okay, so given this sheer complexity, the scale of the suffering, the breakdown, how have the different levels of government actually responded? And what are experts saying about a sustainable path forward?
Right. In the immediate aftermath of the violence starting, a curfew was imposed, mobile internet cut across 8 districts, over 10,000 army and paramilitary forces were deployed.
A heavy security response.
Yes, and there were reports that the Union government invoked Article 355 of the Constitution. That's a provision allowing federal intervention in state security matters.
But was that confirmed?
Interestingly, no formal notification was ever issued, according to our sources, which is a bit ambiguous. Then in February 2025, President's rule was imposed following Chief Minister Baron Singh's resignation.
Direct rule from the central government. How was that received?
Initially, it was welcomed by Kuki-Zo groups, perhaps seeing it as a neutral step. But now there are calls from Meitei and Naga MLAs to restore an elected state government, so opinions are shifting.
The political dynamics keep changing.
They do. The center has also made some border-related moves. They scrapped the free movement regime with Myanmar.
That allowed people to travel a certain distance across the border without visas.
Exactly. And announced plans for border fencing. These moves have angered Kuki-Zo and Naga communities, who have deep ethnic and family ties across that border.
Understandable, it affects cross-border life significantly for them.
That's a troubling detail, isn't it? Despite the government's efforts, maybe on paper, to de-escalate, the fact that arms seem to be proliferating on both sides suggests this deep mistrust that official talks alone just aren't addressing.
It's a critical point. What does that mean for the practicalities of disarmament, of actually restoring security on the ground?
That's the question.
Our sources indicate that even though the center is undertaking talks with various groups, including renewing that suspension of operations, packed with Kuki-Zo insurgent groups.
The ceasefire agreement.
Right, and those groups apparently agreed to uphold territorial integrity, but are still demanding a union territory.
So a complex negotiation there.
Very. But despite these talks, genuine inter-community dialogue seems severely lacking. Both Meitei and Kuki-Zo communities are reported to be heavily armed.
Not a good sign for peace.
Not at all. And Meitei groups, for their part, view the renewed pact with the Kuki-Zo insurgents as actually legitimizing those groups they see as militants. So the challenges are just multifaceted.
It sounds like a deadlock in many ways.
It does. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, many experts and civil society organizations are emphasizing that, look, traditional political interventions might simply not be enough here.
What else is needed then?
They suggest true peace requires fostering meaningful grassroots dialogue, implementing real confidence-building measures, and a clear, unwavering demonstration of strong political will from the state government itself to be impartial and ensure justice.
Action, not just words. And what about disarmament?
Absolutely paramount. Disarming both militant groups and civilians involved in the violence, alongside curbing the illegal flow of arms across the borders, that has to be a priority.
And it's not just about the immediate actions, right? Those long-standing grievances we talked about.
They have to be addressed. Critically examining the competing ethnic claims over land ownership, and crucially, ensuring an equitable redistribution of state-led development.
Because historically, you said, development in Manipur has been heavily skewed towards the Meitei-dominated valley.
Exactly, leading to deep, simmering resentment in the hill areas. That imbalance needs to be rectified.
Are there suggestions for political reforms, too?
Yes. Things like potentially restructuring legislative assembly constituencies to ensure fairer representation for all groups, decentralizing governance to give more power to local bodies, bridging that persistent hill-valley divide,
Makes sense.
and ultimately promoting a genuine sense of fraternity, of shared belonging among all the ethnic groups. Actively countering ethnic majoritarianism is vital for any kind of lasting peace.
It sounds like a long-term project.
It has to be. Crucially, policymaking in Manipur, as our sources really highlight, must transcend the short-term electoral interests of incumbent regimes. needs to be bigger than politics.
Exactly. It needs to adopt long-term, inclusive strategies that genuinely prioritize sustainable peace and development for all communities, not just one or the other.
So, wrapping this up, our deep dive into Manipur has revealed, well, a complex and profoundly tragic situation,
Definitely tragic.
characterized by those deep historical divisions, intense political arguments, profound human suffering on a massive scale, and this desperate, ongoing search for peace.
Mm-hmm.
From the Prime Minister's highly scrutinized visit to the harrowing realities people are facing in relief camps, the layers of this conflict just run incredibly deep.
So given these deep fissures, the ongoing humanitarian crisis, and this whole array of proposed solutions we've discussed, what fundamental shift in approach, beyond the traditional political interventions, is truly required for sustainable peace and real healing in Manipur? What paradigm shift actually needs to happen to genuinely move forward? That's the critical question. And maybe for you, our listener, what stands out to you about the challenges and the aspirations for peace in Manipur? And what role do you think external engagement, whether that's from national bodies or maybe even international ones, should play, if any, in guiding a region so deeply divided towards some form of lasting reconciliation? Something to think about.